Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you for connecting.
Yeah, thanks for doing this interview with me. So, we're going to be talking about the US elections, as you know. A lot of people have been saying this is the most important election in modern US history. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. I think a lot of transformative topics are now coming to the forefront, especially when it comes to race relations. And now with COVID-19, the pandemic, and healthcare, it's even more important.
So, when you're voting, what issues do you consider? Like, do you consider economic issues, climate change issues, like race issues, immigration policy?
It's a little bit of everything. Being based out here, we have to kind of look at all these aspects that are very important for us. Right now, at the forefront, the top two are our healthcare. Pandemic is one of the biggest ones.
Mhm.
As I think everyone's aware now, 220,000 Americans have passed away from COVID-19. So that's a pretty big talking point here that we have to consider. The other thing that is looked at is going to be the foreign affairs as well for us. We want things outside externally to be something that is still fitting to what we want. We're seeing a rise in Islamophobia everywhere. So that's kind of another factor for us.
So, have you experienced more racism or xenophobia since the past election?
So, alhamdulillah, from where I stand and where I live, a community surrounded by other Muslims and things like that, we've been shielded from most of it. But not all of our community lives in a central hub like New York or Chicago. And there's a rise in that from different areas. Pakistani Americans might be a little bit shielded, but our African American Muslims aren't shielded. So we're seeing that happen to more and more people around us. And as you know, if you don't stand up for justice for everyone, it ends up reflecting us too. So that is actually happening quite a bit now, that it's concerning, and it will reach our doorstep sooner or later.
Do you think either of the candidates would be like very different for Pakistan, or do you think they would have the same implications?
From the Pakistani aspect, yeah, I don't think there's going to be a lot of difference over the years. Republican candidates, for example, have always worked better out for Pakistan international relationships, while the Democratic ones have been a little bit more reluctant to deal with Pakistan in the same manner. We've seen that in the Obama administration and then the Bush one before it. So what happens in this election, it's kind of up in the air. The good thing that we've seen from candidates right now, at least they're talking about it. They're engaging with the Pakistani aspect and even the Pakistani voters. The Biden campaign is doing a lot to reach out to the Pakistani voters. So there's hope that there will be difference this time around, but there's a lot of history that tells us that we shouldn't hold our breath too much.
I was talking to someone earlier, and they said that there's not a high turnout for Pakistani voters in America. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, about only maybe 14% of Pakistani American voters have voted in the past elections, so a very small amount as compared to the other diasporas that are here. I think it goes with multiple factors. New immigrants that are coming into the US maybe not have the understanding, the means, or the cultural background of voting. They may have never done it before. The ones that are well settled, well assimilated, they're well busy with their businesses and their entrepreneurship and other professional aspects are just not engaged in that sense either politically. They're happy to be central. They're happy to be kind of away from the political sphere and just doing what they do. And now the conversation's re-engaging really.
So, if you could say something to those Pakistani diaspora, what would you say?
I think the biggest thing is we have to have that count. Whether you are in a state that has already gone, blue or red historically all the time, that each one vote matters. And if we want people to look at the Pakistani American experience and look at the things that matter to Pakistanis and in Muslims in general, we have to vote. So as our numbers go up, and instead of 14%, it's 90% of Pakistani Americans vote, everyone's going to pay attention to what matters to us. So we have to put that vote out.
Do you think this election is going to see a higher turnout of Pakistanis?
I believe so. There's been a lot more engagement. A lot of groups and organizations, 501(c)(3)s, are working toward, are working towards voter engagement now. And this is all nationwide, battleground states, in states that are already historically blue or red. So that impact and that outreach that's happening now, particularly from campaigns that are out there, I think that's going to change the way Pakistani Americans vote.
So my last question to you is: America is currently super divided, whether that's like racially or politically or religiously. Do you think if Biden wins, that's going to change a lot, or do you think it's going to take more than just that?
It's going to take a lot more than just that. These are historical elements that have been deep rooted in America for a very long time. We've started to see it bubbling back up in the last 48 years. That's been really, really back at the forefront. These are historical elements of American history, really. This is what it used to be like, divided, and now it's kind of coming back to the forefront. A Biden campaign win will effectively start the pathway to at least engaging in those conversations, especially with an African-American/Indian vice president, plus an openness to talk about these kind of issues and race relations. It'll definitely move towards the right direction, but it's going to take local elections. It's going to take the senators, the congressmen, to changing from the local level to really impact that. And that's a long road.
Thank you so much for joining me, Mr. Choudhary.
Thank you. Bye.